might help if I turn the mic on. All right, we're at the final race weekend here at Lanes Raceway. Just checking the microphone, making sure it's working. Uh, we're currently on the oval track here this Friday. Uh, Sunday we'll be having oval and an orange track race to finish up. Then we're going to have a small little banquet where we're going to eat pizza and hand out the rewards for 1st through 10th. So make sure you make it for that for sure. Right now, Gerald Settle in the lead on Orange Lane with a fresh new body he got here at Lanes Raceway. That beautiful midnight pink and blue, almost like a twilight looking color. Been hearing it for several weeks in a row how beautiful that body actually is. See Ed Howe now taking over the lead. Paul Woosley in a close second. Gerald Settle in third. All three running 17 laps. First heat, you know how these things go if you've been watching before. First couple of heats, kind of really can't make a decision on whether or not somebody's going to win or lose, for that matter. After this heat, I'm going to turn their speaker up a little bit more, as I can barely hear it. Maybe they're happy with it, and I'll ask them. But the lights that go on and off and stuff, letting everybody know that the heat's back to going, they might appreciate that being a little bit louder. My wife, currently the only track marshal going on right now, as I'm in here to commentate the race the best that I possibly know how. These cars are moving at quite a substantial speed here. We see Tom Payton down there on the purple. Of course, he's had some bad luck, but he's trying to make a move to increase his standing. Everybody here, of course, doing the same thing, trying to increase their standing. If you are out there in Facebook land or YouTube or Twitch and you want to say hello, we do have chat open. Also, if you are watching, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends and family. And even some people you know. I guess that'd be friends, acquaintances, possibly, whatever. We'll take anything here at Lanes Raceway. So we head back green race, and we see Gerald Settle there in the orange lane. Still holding it down, back and forth between him and Ed Howe and Paul Woosley. Randy Kirtley there currently on white lane. Not turning quite as impressive lap times as he used to turning. He pretty much got, if we was to look at the point standings here real quickly, we can see that Randy Kirtley pretty much left out November the 18th was his last, well, November 6th was his last race there on the road, as he had finished his 14 races without missing any. But this weekend, he's back. He's afraid that possibly Gabriel Kirtley might be able to catch him on one of the oval races. So he's getting nervous about being dethroned from first place. If you know anything about our new series coming up, our GRC / 4-inch series, if you can take out the leader of this series whenever it ends Sunday, so we see Gabriel Kirtley's car there coming off in a high-speed manner on its lid. But if you can take them out in the next series, you get an extra $250 bonus on top of what you're going to get in the series. Plus, if you make it to every single race weekend, I believe it's going to be $100 for the individual, which is a little bit better than what we got going on this season. And also, if you make it to every single one of them, I think it's going to be $250 extra. Of course, this series here, if you make it to every single race, you get $100. This is our first season. Had quite a good outpouring of support, especially from the community and these racers involved too, when it comes to racing and trying to keep up with their points and everything else, as you've seen with the points earlier. So that was quite something good, especially for Lanes Raceway this early on, trying to make a name for itself. We had quite a few sponsors even for this season, and I think we got more lined up for the second season. So be surprised and happy at the same moment for that, especially if you're going to plan on getting into this next series. Currently live now sign-ups are on the website. We're taking the first 25. There might be some, if there is more than 25, there might be some dedication to how whether or not people have raced before, because we want to have the best people So if there is more than 25, then we will have to take some race wins and possibly some race time on the track into consideration, of course. But as that time approaches, some of the interesting things that's going to happen in the next uh, series, which is not in this series, it's kind of a little added new thing. Like I said, we're going to have GRCs, which we run on Thursday nights here. You've probably seen a few races here at Lanes Raceway. They're only going to run the oval track. That's it. And that's to keep down, as you can see, these cars come high speed, come apart. It's very, very hard for a track marshal to get in there, get a car on, get them put back on quick enough before getting completely obliterated, like that car did right there. That would be Randy Kirtley, about took Gabriel Kirtley out there on the end of the track there. But as you can see, these cars come off high speed very, very fast and can tend to bend and tear stuff up. So the GRCs, they don't do it as much, but if they do get involved in incidents, at least the track marshal has somewhat of a time to get the car back on. Not to mention that when the GRCs come off, they're not coming off as furious as these cars are. Now on the orange track, we'll be running our faster, about the same speed as these cars here, 4-inch class. And that's going to be quite competitive as the guys have really drawn themselves to the 4-inch class. They really enjoy it on the orange track because the cars stay on a lot better on the orange track when you're running those lower profile type chassis and stuff from JK versus a big old heavy GRC chassis. As we end this first heat, we see Ed Howe there taking first position. And second position there, Paul Woosley. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to get the monitor here. There we go. Paul Woosley there in second with 74. Impressive laps there on blue, to say the least. Gabriel Kirtley and Randy Kirtley both kind of struggling a little bit as they both started on red and white. Of course, these are the lanes that nobody wants to start on for sure, but like I said, that's something additive to the next series that we're fixing to start to be able to pick your lane. So on the drag strip back there, you see the purple drag strip way back there in the back up against the wall. There's going to be a single elimination that's going to take place. Drag race between all the racers that show up for that given race weekend night in the next series. And whoever the top 4 finishers are in the drag race get to select their lane for that race weekend. So, that's something interesting. It helps the guys be able to pick their lane out so that they can get a good start and not so much suffer from the randomness of the oval track. So skill rewards are very much going to be in the next series for sure. But I am very excited for the next series, as I know my wife is excited. My brother is really excited also. Payouts are a little bit better even. As you know, the purse for this one, if we go and take a look at the points here, right now the purse is up to $2,600. That's with the initial, I think it was $1,800, and then on top of that, all of the sponsors that we had this season cranked her all the way up to $2,600. So first place will be getting a $600 cash envelope, and all the way down to 10th place getting $50. So, it pays to come and run these races. If you are the competitive sort and you are really trying to push it to the limit, it does pay to come here and try to get your run for the podium finish. So, like I said, this weekend, this Sunday, we're going to have our little banquet here. I'm going to get some pizza from Kip to Go. As Kip's to Go is where we've been getting our pizza. That's my uncle also. We've been getting our pizza from them since we've opened, and he's been gracious enough to deliver us pizzas and stuff like that. So it's really going to be nice. We'll have a couple pizzas here for the guys, and after the race is over with, hand out the money, have like a little bit of a ceremony for the guys and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're one of the racers for sure, try to show up and have a good time. As we head back green racing here, we see the lights dropping out. Like I said, that beautiful body there, Gerald Suttle there on white, makes it very easy to see. So Gerald Suttle's car is really running well for him tonight so far. quite a bit of a come apart there. My wife trying her best to get all these cars on. You may have noticed that we moved the start finish line to about where Tom is located there at the end of the circle track there. We haven't actually put a line on it yet, as I keep myself quite busy around here. So does my wife. We go back green racing. Oh, we see Ed Howe out here in the lead with 82 laps here in the top left of your screen total. With impressive median of 1.69, Ed Howe just really, past couple weekends, that car's really shined. I think last weekend when he got him a new motor, that thing has really been pushing out the horsepower, they say. Randy Kirtley there, of course, getting back in the game here, kind of midfield currently as he's raced in the top of the lanes there. Gerald Suttle now on white lane. Probably drop off just a little bit compared, as we see there with Sam Nelson taking in front of Gerald. Gerald actually coming off there in the high banks there, getting collected up by a few of the guys. But look at those pretty bodies there. You see the one on green, you see the one on white, and the one on red. All three of those bodies painted here at Lanes Raceway. The guys love the fade. They love bodies being faded into each other. Of course, we like the, I guess you call them fluorescent colors, or I like the fluorescent colors. I don't know, maybe not everybody likes them. Another exciting news, too, we got us a new pinball mod in. This now completes all Diddy pinball mods for Godzilla. So unless they come out with something else, we got every one of them. We didn't think we was going to be able to get the build in, but it came up on Pinsider a couple days ago, and a guy graciously enough accepted my offer, and it was here in no time. So just thankful that it got here and was able to get it in. It was a little bit tougher than the other mods to install. I struggled with it quite a little bit. Ended up dumping all the balls out all over the floor earlier, and that was a little bit frustrating. So go back green racing. We see Paul Woosley there trying to come up there against Ed Howe. Sam Nelson there now in third place. Gabriel Kirtley actually pushing Gerald even further back as Gerald's up on the higher lanes. Gabriel Kirtley trying to get an impressive start at things. Randy Kirtley, everybody within just a lap or so of each other. Glenn down there at 106 biding his time, of course. If we look at Glenn, even though he's may have been involved in a few wrecks, we can see that his car is still quite fast with a median time of 1.68, which is relative to Sam Nelson's car there at 1.69. So everybody there is kind of running relatively close with one another, as we can see time-wise. And that just goes with the experience of all these guys. They've been racing this all season long for the past month or so, and a couple months. And anyways, you can really see a big change in how these guys drive as we see multiple laps being turned for any wrecks take place. Of course, being as lack with track marshals we still use the buttons here, but we can see a good smooth rhythm with these guys. It's almost like an ocean. Nobody's really passing anybody, but it's like a big giant wave that forms every time these guys race. And if one of them comes off, you're going to get a couple more to come off too. And it's just because everybody's in a really good rhythm. Most of the guys kind of found out early on what the good gear ratios was for this track to be able to compete. And pretty much now everybody's running right there within one gear tooth or two gear tooths from each other. A little slow start there by Tom Payton there on black. But he's back in the rhythm again, going pretty good as he gets a really close stop there on the elbow of the track. Just today, I mixed me up a bottle as we was running a little bit dry on Dead Man's Corner for glue a couple nights ago. Could be the winter, could be people just not gluing their tires every heat anymore. But nonetheless, we spray tracked the glue, sprayed the whole track this afternoon. So these guys are running on fresh glue all the way around the track, and that's also helping these guys stay on a little bit better. As we in the second heat there, we'll take a quick look here at the numbers on TrackMate. And we see Ed Howe here with 76 laps turned on black. Right now our front runner, of course. Paul Woosley there turning close to him with 75 laps there on purple. Both of them averaging 74.5 laps, kind of away from the rest of the crowd. Gabriel Kirtley creeping up there as he's got an impressive 70 average laps, and he's running nothing but top lanes here. His times be comparable to Randy Kirtley, of course, with 69. So we can see from the very bottom to the very top, less than 10 lap average between each one of these guys. So it kind of shows you the competition, and it basically boils down to trigger finger. If the guys have a very good trigger finger, very smooth behind the wheel, they will average more laps than the others, or if they're involved in less wrecks, of course, which is kind of random, depicting on whether or not you were on red or white lane, possibly black or purple too. Would be some of your higher heat lanes that you would be involved more in wrecks. As I said, we are doing pinball down here, getting everything set up. I want to do some couples and some singles tournaments and some pinball and stuff like that, but I'm just not to where I want to be streaming wise yet. Is our cameras are a little lackluster, and I don't know. I really want it to be good before we start. So I got to get in touch with Pin Sound and get a couple of the Pin Sound boards that put in on the pinball table so we can get direct sound from the pinball table so you can hear what's going on, and if anybody's talking and letting you know any of the stuff, that you'll actually know what's going on, because each one of these pinball tables actually have like a little mode, I guess, that's kind of like a story in a way, especially Godzilla. So we go here to the oval track. We see Tom Payton up there in the top right of your screen blowing on his car, keeping it nice and cool. We also see Gerald Suttle there on red lane, getting his car ready to go. And what a beautiful body that is. So far we've had about, I don't know, 13 or 14 people come and comment on that body, and they all just really thought it was a very pretty body. So Gerald's to be very proud of that body, as many people really did enjoy it. My wife included. She said it was the prettiest body she's ever seen. So, you know, it's not much to it, just a little bit of fading of the paint, but you know, sometimes people have some issues when it comes to painting bodies, overspray or stuff like that. Temperature can affect it a lot today. I had a couple bodies I painted today and had one of them that affected me temperature-wise. And I kind of thinned the paint out a little bit. It was a little bit tough to paint. As we get into the colder weather, you know, these things kind of happen. Heading back to the live stream so you guys can see the laps being turned. We, right off the gate, get us a good old incident there in Dead Man's Corner. Looks like one of them's there at the crook of the track. My wife will get them on there and in no time flat, as we see Paul Woosley getting Gabriel Kirtley's car put back on. And Paul Woosley also his him. Looking for something on the track here. Let's go into a little bit closer detail. See my wife trying to figure out what's going on there. We got a big group of them there in Dead Man's Corner. This could spell disastrous. As Tom Payton, probably the wisest one out of them, kind of let off and let that crew go on forward. So we get a car to come off there. Looks like Sam Nelson's car there. No, it's actually Ed Howe's car. That's a boogie body. Also faded. Boogie bodies. We get those pre-painted sometimes here at the shop through our distributor, ERI. And when it comes to ERI, they really get these shipments in and out really, really quick. That's why we like to use them. So we got a little bit of collision there. It looks like Ed Howe and Gerald Suttle involved in that incident. My wife was able to get them on there in a timely fashion, but we see that she left one there in Dead Man's Corner. That'd be Gabriel Kirtley's car and possibly Paul Woosley's. I think it's Paul Woosley's anyway there at Dead Man's Corner. Maybe Gabriel and Paul involved in quite a few incidents in the past couple laps at least. We see Randy Kirtley coming off there. Sam Nelson also in contact with that. So Randy Kirtley there on green. Sam Nelson there on white. So they probably just got into each other there through the crook of the track. A little slop happens, and you know, things happen. Especially this late in the game, everybody is trying to get as many laps as they can. They don't want to let off for nobody. Can't say that I hardly blame them, as I would be in that same position, wanting to get as many laps as I could possibly get too, as we have races after tonight, and that is it, ladies and gentlemen. We go back green race, and we see a burst of speed coming out of Gabriel Kirtley there on blue lane. Paul Woosley in the lead now, took over Ed Howe there. 166 total laps turned by Paul Woosley. Gabriel Kirtley closing the gap there now in third place, trying to reel in Ed Howe. Like I said, Ed Howe's car very, very fast in the past few weekends, as the car there on red, Gerald Suttle's car, kind of gets held up there. Sam Nelson gets his car put back on in a timely fashion. Randy Kirtley hits the button and somewhat aggressively. As we're back underway, you see Randy Kirtley trying his best to get through the pure debacle that is Dead Man's Corner there. It almost seems like every heat there's a wreck in that exact position where my wife is standing. We call that the hot spot on Dead Man's Corner, because that's where the majority of the guys just come off hot. It has a lot to do with a little bit of trigger control and a whole lot of whether or not you're going to give for another individual or not. We see Sam Nelson's car come into a quick collision there with Ed Howe, and it was a hard hit for sure. I've seen hits like that before, and they usually entail bending of axles, usually, when you get hit that hard in the rear end. So we'll see. Possibly, if that is the case, you'll hear a lot of thudding or car being excessively slow, popping out of the lane. But it looks like everything's on the up and up there. Paul Woosley still in our lead here, as we see Ed Howe coming out again there on Dead Man's Corner. Or the crook of the track, possibly getting involved there with Sam Nelson there on white. Well, they're 2 lanes apart, so I highly doubt that, but we'll see. Got another car, Paul Woosley there on black. Randy Kirtley kind of messed with his car a little bit. Sam Nelson getting his car put back on there on white, and he's ready to go. But yes, these cars are definitely not for the faint of heart, as these cars are really ripping it around there. Now, they do have some good high-quality tires on here. Most guys running fish rubber just to keep those back ends under control. But as we see there, it was almost like someone may have stopped in the middle of the track before the corner on that, causing that incident. As we hear Randy Kirtley even commenting about stopping on the corners. So we got a few of them a little irritated about things. Good thing about it is we use European rotation here at Lanes Raceway. So if you are having an issue with someone, you only got to be around them twice. So, and that's when you cross them, and then, of course, at the beginning when you're racing. So. But I have, once before, when we very first had the orange track in the basement, I've had the opportunity to run American rotation, and I will say it is as random as a circle track can get. It becomes super stressful when skill levels are not equal if you're doing American rotation, because you're with that person the whole way through. as we see Randy Kirtley's car coming off again there on green lane. Tom Payton moving up there on yellow with fourth place. Ed Howe dropped a position. Gabriel Kirtley now currently in second position. Paul Woosley still hanging on to that lead. Paul Woosley really trying to move up into points. Let's take a quick look there, actually. So we see Paul Woosley there with 5,049. He's really trying to inch up above Gabriel there. 100 or so laps different is what we're looking at. So Paul really is wanting to get the best circle track performance he can to try to inch up there to that third position. Next up will be Glenn Burden against Gabriel Kirtley, of course. Somebody's car is going wild as we hear some weird squeaking going on. At the end of that heat there, we see Paul Woosley there in the lead, turning 75 laps on black. We see Ed Howe actually able to turn more laps there on black currently. Okay. Well, my wife just tells me she got hit with the car. She's got a little bit of a red spot there on her arm. I thought she got hit out there. Yeah, it's a bruise, ain't it? That's how fast these cars are going. It's not for the faint of heart, but my wife's tough, and she don't care. She'll get in there with the best of them for sure. So we see Paul Woosley there with an average outstanding amongst other people currently, 74.7, 71.7 to Gabriel Kirtley as he's climbing from the 60s from last heat. Ed Howe there still in the 70s, holding down third place. Tom Payton and Randy Kirtley there tied with 68.7. Gerald Suttle and Glenn Burden tied with 67.7, and Sam Nelson there in the back with 65.7. As we've said before, all these numbers will change, averagely speaking, but it's kind of cool to see that everybody's within 10 laps of each other on average, as it should be because of the competition. These guys are really trying to push the best that they can. As you can see, we're doing well here at Lanes Raceway, and also our fellow I guess you would call it building partners next door at the Mexican restaurant that just opened up, La Cabana. We've ate there like 3 times. And I think my dad made the comment earlier this week, whenever it first opened, said we're all going to be fat. And I can't say that I disagree with that. Is I'll tell you what, their food is really, really good. So if you are in the Livermore area, for sure stop on by and give their food a try, because I'll tell you what, it is really good. I got a chimichanga the size of my arm. And usually chimichangas, like, we'll go here to the live view. Usually chimichangas are like this. I kid you not, that dude was that long. That's how long the chimichanga was over there. So, give them a shot for sure. And they put the pico, the sour cream, the what do they call it? The guacamole, and they put the rice and the beans. And my wife's over here. She's got me in a mode where she knows I'm hungry. And she's like, that's what you want tonight? That's what you want tonight? Well, yeah, I wouldn't mind having it every night if it didn't cost me money, but I'm a little tight. So, nonetheless, if she wants to get some La Cabana tonight, for sure, we can do that. As we've watched these guys take that La Cabana, it was in a similar shape as our building here, and we both had to put in a lot of work. And Jose, the owner of that, I think he's partners with, it's Jose and I cannot think of his name. I've ate at his other Mexican restaurant there in Calhoun, but it doesn't matter. It'll come to me later and I'll let you know. But nonetheless, they've really put in a lot of work over there, and my brother also has put in a lot of work over there to get that up and going. They've ran through some hardships and some bad things that took place, but nonetheless, they got her up and going, and it looks really, really good in there. I think I made the comment last week that it's too good for Livermore. So, anyways, but Livermore definitely shaping up to be a nice little friendly community. It's always been a friendly community in my book, as I've lived here my whole life, but there's a lot of stuff being built downtown, I've noticed, and they're vamping up. Of course, we've had festivals and stuff here too. But it's just a really good town. I love the people. If I didn't love the people, I wouldn't be here. But yeah, I don't think I could ever see myself leaving Livermore. I just love Kentucky and I love the people. So as you can tell, I mean, how many racetracks you go to where you don't see somebody just being completely upset. Here in Livermore, these guys they don't. They may get spur of the moments where they get a little upset, but they're back to smooth coolness in a moment's notice. And they're very patient with me, as I do fly off the handle every once in a while whenever I get somewhat stressed. It seems like when I do and I apologize for it, they're like, "Well, we never noticed." So it just shows you the kind of people they are. They definitely look beyond a lot of flaws of people, and I think that's a good thing. As we get back to racing here, though, we see four cars involved in the incident. Half the pack this time. Randy Kirtley, Ed Howe, uh, Gerald Suttle, and I think Paul Woosley. Paul Woosley still currently our leader here. Gabriel Kirtley, 231 laps there, quickly approaching Paul Woosley now, as Gabriel Kirtley is going to be on his lower lanes here. We now see Randy Kirtley coming out of the middle of nowhere, now in fourth place, unsettled Tom there and put Tom down that place. Ed Howe there in third place, still hanging on. Ed Howe's going to have a hard time hanging on the rest of this heat, though, as Randy Kirtley is, unless a motor blows or something, is going to take that third position from Ed. And it's just simply simple math here. The reason I know that for a certainty is, well, white is quite a bit longer than Randy's blue, as we see Randy now taking over third position. Gabriel Kirtley still currently in second place, but quickly approaching Paul Woosley there on yellow as Ed Howe comes out in the high bank corner there. Ed Howe possibly have a little bit of a bend, maybe some braid issues as he goes to work on that and get that fixed there on the front stretch of the track. Ed Howe back in the business here. Like I said, his car has been moving very, very fast the past couple races. My wife, quick hands there, grabbing as many cars as she can. She's only one lady, ladies and gentlemen. It's been known that gave myself the nickname Squid Arms, son of Octopus Arms, which would be OG Randy Kirtley. I don't know what I'm going to call T yet, but it's some aquatic creature with tentacles for sure that has the suction cups to put these cars back on. She does the best she can. And Gabriel Kirtley there in the high mains corner on purple, somewhat slow for some reason, as if his card is laid out on him. Maybe a dead short in the track, possibly these leads, they're moving back and forth so fast, it could be possibly that one of the leads broke on the front of the guide flag. I've even seen before, too, on the guide flag where the clips are, the clips actually touch in the back from where they go side to side so much that they actually short out like that. Could be a bunch of things. Like I said, these are not the most expensive motors. You go to RC and stuff like that, motors are quite expensive. Gabriel Kirtley's car definitely struggling here, not what he wants to see in this race. He does have 30 seconds to work on his car. Then after that, we will have to go back green racing with a 1 minute and 11 seconds left in this heat. We go back green racing here. We see Gerbil's car pulled off the track here. You need a meter? We're going to take a meter and see if it's shorted out on the track. I'll be right back with you. there must be a spun gear or something like that. Gabriel was experiencing some issues as we went and checked the track to see if it was shorted out. Of course, all the other tracks shorted out through the controllers. I forgot that he had unhooked his controller, and I was like, well, it's open for some reason, but then that wouldn't have made much sense of the car moving. But anyways, nonetheless, I didn't think that out too thoroughly. But he'll get that car back fixed, as we're going to see him dropping pretty quickly. Like I said, within 10 laps is about all you see with these people. We can now see Gabriel Kirtley there at the bottom of the track. That's how close these guys are racing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, these guys are on the wire for sure. As they get a group up there, my wife, with her quick hands, able to get that car pulled on. Ed Howe was able to get his car really quick, put back on white lane. When the track gets shut off, sometimes cars are in a position to where that they really need to brake. Well, once the track gets shut off, there is no brake, and that's why you've seen Ed's car come off there in the high banks. As he needed technically to brake in the crook of the track, but if they're under power, the cars are able to hook and go. That's why you don't see them letting off there in the crook of the track. But if the power gets cut right at the right moment, it will just make them come on off. As we see a full speed come apart there at the dead man's corner of the track, we see my wife getting at least one of the cars put back on. Paul Woosley still currently leader right now with 294 laps and an average median lap of 1.55. Randy Kirtley with an average median of 1.53, close behind with 278 laps. So we're going to start seeing Paul Woosley head towards the upper portions of this track around heat 4 of 8. My wife had to go, it looks, to the other ends of the earth just to get a car. As that's how far that car was punted. Most likely the tires are dirty, as it probably took a high-speed debacle turnout. There on the green, that would be Gerald Suttle. All right, we go back green racing here, and we see another cluster up. Like I said, the big wave going on. And we see Ed Howe getting just a little bit pushed out there towards the high part of the track there on the high banks. You're able to turn a little bit more top end on the upper lanes, of course, because you have a little bit more track to do that. And sometimes it's just enough to knock you out of the crook of the track, too, because you're carrying just enough amount of speed. As Gabriel Kirtley is involved in that incident, we get a red flag call, but it's not over with yet as we have 1 second left. After this heat, I want to make a quick run out there and turn the volume up on the speaker for the guys to be able to hear, as the track can get somewhat loud as these cars are whizzing around there. So we get very, very quickly another car off. Our heat is now over. I'm going to move over to the track mate. You guys can watch that while I go turn the volume up real quick. All right, and I'm back. We still see Paul Woosley up there up top, 74.8, 4 laps ahead of everybody else. Randy Kirtley close approaching. Gerald, Tom, everybody else has dropped out of the 70s, all the way down to 70 or 64.8 of Gabriel Kirtley with a little bit of bad luck that he suffered from the previous heat. We have 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go here. And we could take a quick look at the points standings. So Randy Kirtley and Gabriel Kirtley vying for position here as we speak. Randy Kirtley very, very nervous that one of the oval runs that he had could be supplemented from Gabriel Kirtley, possibly giving him a chance to actually catch him. Every one of these guys, like I said, this race weekend has an opportunity to move up or down depending. So we see Sam Nelson there in 10th position with a 400 lap lead against Bo McPherson. So he's holding that down for sure. Sam most likely trying to maybe catch Tim this race weekend. possibly, as Tim has missed quite a few, as we can see. We'll see how that turns out. Ed Howe there in eighth position, uh, pretty comfortably, as he's going to add to that tonight. His car is somewhat running aggressive tonight, so he'll probably be able to exchange one of his circle track races. Tom Payton also having some pretty decent luck here tonight on his circle track, so he'll either be able to exchange one of his circle tracks for sure, as he's already has his 14 races in. Gerald Suttle there with 4,666, within Jay's limits here. I think Jay will be here Sunday, but if he doesn't make it, Gerald could definitely be able to possibly catch Jay Latham. So, like I said, Paul Woosley, Gabriel within 100 laps of each other. Depending on how things go, Paul could take that third position back from Gabriel Curley. We're fixing to go back live racing here, as we see Randy O.G. Curtley take off running as fast as he can. Trying to get them laps, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take a small break here real quick while they're just getting started. I'm going to give me a drink for the throat. Pepsi, ladies and gentlemen. Pepsi was kind enough to bring us a fridge here as we go through them for distributing purposes to get Pepsis. And, of course, who doesn't really like a Pepsi, really? I think they had a Pepsi challenge years ago when I was a kid, and I think they won it, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. Maybe make a comment in the section. Let me know. Maybe Coca-Cola won it. I don't know. But I don't know. Depends on what I'm eating, whether or not I like Coca-Cola or Pepsi. But for the most part, I like Pepsi. So we see Ed Howe having a little bit of an issue there. His car keeps ripping out there on red lane as we get a high-speed come apart. His car involving with another, possibly Sam Nelson's car. I know his car is black. I can't really get a good view there, but my wife is trying to fix some of the brushes there. That was Paul Woosley's car. 8 o'clock here in Livermore, Kentucky, Lanes Raceway. See people out here getting their food, going home. And it's good to see that our neighbors next door are doing very well. They keep selling that high-quality food that they're selling over there for these cheap prices. And everybody is going to have issues with their health, because I'm telling you, I don't know if it's butter or lard they use, but man, it's good. And I'll tell you what, I need to stay away from that place, but my wife keeps letting me go. But it's definitely not heart healthy, but it's definitely soul food. We'll put it that way. Let's go back green racing. They're getting the wave going again. So we see Ed Howe having issues there on red again. Carrying quite a bit of speed there on red, Ed is. We're going to start seeing Ed start climbing back up a little bit more towards right after this heat, as he'll be back on the lower lanes. Like I said, if you're out for 10, 20 seconds, it's very detrimental to your lap average for sure. So we see Randy Kirtley there on purple lane, just really giving it the beans, reeling in Gabriel Kirtley, but not by a lot. Mainly, it's the reel in is taking place whenever the track's getting shut off. So we see Paul Woosley there getting a little bit of a boost out in front of people. Can't say I'll blame him. He owes that boost to Ed Howe for sure. So I'm sure the guys are going to have a little bit of something to say about that for sure. But all fair in love and war, I suppose. And I guess this would be a war of attrition, as these guys are trying to hang on their best to turn in as many laps as they can. We see Gabriel Kirtley passing Randy Kirtley there on the inside, black lane. Then he comes off in an effective manner. trying to make up those laps best he can, and he was able to pull in Tom Payton this heat as Tom's up on a higher lane. Gabriel really needing to turn quite substantial laps here on his lower lane of black, more than anybody at this point, as he suffered loss out there the previous heat. And purple and black are all your lap getters here, for sure. So he's having to push a little bit more, but he did have to get that lap back up to Randy Kirtley. So we see Randy Kirtley there with a smooth, above-pace transition, just really giving it everything that he can to try to reel Gabriel Kirtley in, and doing it in an effective manner. As we can see, Gabriel Kirtley now trying to play the defensive side, but it almost seems like he spun a gear again right there at the end, black kind of slowing down. We head to the track mate here. We see Randy Kirtley here turning 79 laps there on purple, compared to Gabriel Kirtley there turning 44, very much suffrage. But Gabriel Kirtley turning the most laps turned on black, so this is very beneficial for Gabriel as he progresses on, needing to turn the most next in yellow to make up some gains on and get possibly back into the 70 lap average. So we see Randy Kirtley now in the 70 lap average, 72.4. Paul Woosley's still an outlier there with 74.2, but it's fixing to drop drastically as he moves into the higher lanes. Also, Gerald Suttle, his is going to actually raise, and he's right there on the precipice there with 69.4. So has a very much an opportunity to either de-seat Paul Woosley or possibly Randy Kirtley, depending on the turn of events here, whether or not there's any more issues to be had. Let's head to the oval cam here and just watch the guys work a little bit. Be right back with you. All right, we're back, and they are live. My wife's running out there, but it's already too late. It's 30 cars piled up there. Of course, that's an over-exaggeration. But nonetheless, right out of the gate, Gabriel Kirtley involved. Randy Kirtley messing with something down there on Dead Man's Corner. The front end completely debacled of Gabriel Kirtley's car there. But what a beautiful body it is. Painted here at Lanes Raceway. That shows you how tough our paint is. As he just flicks that dude right back out. No paint flakes or nothing. We use Lexan paint here, ladies and gentlemen, and it holds up for sure. As these guys really beat and bang and bust each other to pieces. As we get the wave going again, we see these guys just waving on through. Randy Kirtley there, second place, trying to reel in Paul Woosley. See a nice gentle break there. Gerald Suttle letting Gabriel Kirtley go by. Randy Kirtley on the inside of Gerald Suttle. Will he give? Will he not? So we see Randy Kirtley was able to inch him out in a precision type attack there in Dead Man's Corner, able to catch just enough coast to be able to pull it through. Both of them expertly going through there. You can kind of see the gear ratios that work between those two, as we see that Gerald Suttle had a little bit more of an aggressive push inward, able to catch Randy Kirtley, but then Randy Kirtley having a little bit better track ratio to be able to pull out of there. As we see Ed Howe's car possibly having a little body tuck issue going on. Body tucks under the tires makes those little squealing noises a lot of times. Sometimes it could be a spin of a 1 second here. Sometimes it could be a spin of a tire. Gabriel Curley needing a braid roller is, I guess, where I sprayed the track today. Maybe unseated a little bit of the braid. But the guys were complaining of not having enough glue, so I laid some on it. When you spray glue the track, of course, if you guys are wondering, you take a bottle of light glue and you put it in a industrial bottle, and you put Coleman fuel, naphtha, whatever it is, something low fume rate, and you mix it all up, and then you just spray the whole track with it. And it kind of gives an even coating of light glue through the track, helps the guys grip a little bit better. As you can kind of see, these guys' back ends of their cars are not really wiggling as much as they usually do. And it's just because the track got dry. So winter time helps a lot of that as we run the heat in here. Well, actually, it's kind of a mixed unit, so it runs the air conditioner here. It tries to keep it at 61 degrees in here, which seems cold, but when you get to racing and you get involved in it, it's really not that cold, especially whenever compared to outside temperatures. It actually feels about like 70 degrees in the house when I get to the house. Surprisingly choking. As you can see, I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt in here. We see some of the guys out there wearing long sleeves and stuff, but I feel that might possibly be their only clothing they're wearing. So we see Ed Howe there with a breakout of .945. Man, if he's moving that fast, he's really home. But thank you for that thumbs up. But whether or not he's moving that fast, I would say most likely somebody just skimmed across the start-finish line there. As we get the wave going again, we see a rider there on orange coming off hot. As my wife picks that car up, we see Sam Nelson quick to that button to get that track shut off. Took a little bit of an arm injury. She come in here a while ago. She goes, that really did hurt. Showed me her arm. She had a little bit of a knob on her arm. You see my wife messing with the car. Thank you for that up arrow. Appreciate that. So my wife's fixing to probably pass that car over to Randy. Well, he's going to get a car that's underneath the track. I didn't even see that one go under there. The cars are flying everywhere. Last weekend or the weekend before, we seen a car come off and hit Gabriel Kirtley, and it was Paul Woosley, guy in second place now. And he hit Gabriel so hard, he ended up knocking him into the TV. And I always told the guys, like, there's going to be a special prize for somebody that destroys the TV. Nobody's destroyed it yet, but that's the first time it's been hit. And it's pretty high up on that wall. You can't see it from the camera here. But right there where Tom is, there in a black hoodie, just to the left of him, is a TV. And there's scratches all up that wall where they come up that high banks there, about where Glenn Burden's car is there on orange. That's about where they start wrecking, and they start sliding up that hill, and it's just a straight ramp right into the wall. And there's gashes out on that wall all through it. Like I said, Gabriel Kirtley's car hit the TV last week, and there will be a special prize for somebody if they're able to knock that TV into shattered oblivion. So we see Gabriel Kirtley and Randy Kirtley there at the bottom of the track, or Gerald Suttle and Randy Kirtley there at the bottom of the track. Gerald Suttle's car kind of got unseated there at Dead Man's Corner. Going to be seating there with Gabriel Kirtley and Randy Kirtley there on the lower sections. Gabriel Kirtley on yellow, Gerald Suttle on purple, and Randy Kirtley on black. This will be something to watch there from Dead Man's Corner up from the crook of the track here, as these are probably your three fastest cars currently. So see Gabriel Kirtley trying to make a dive towards Gerald Suttle. We hear a spin of a gear here, possibly of Ed Howe. So it wasn't a gear. It was yet again another body tuck. gal's having some body tuck issues here. Maybe needs the scissors, possibly some strapping tape. I'm sure he'll get that figured out when this heat's over with in 21 seconds. Chelsea Kirtley there, my wife, getting the car put back there on orange. Glenn Bird. Final race weekend. Next series going to start in January. Excited about that. GRC, of course, on the oval. 4-inch cars, what we call GTP LMP cars. Going to be on the orange track. So pretty much everybody that's in this series right now has a 4-inch car. They're actually called Turbo Champion Flexi chassis. They'll be at somewhat of a little bit of a disadvantage compared to the JK or the Mazzetti chassis, but nonetheless they're 4-inch. And if you didn't want to buy another car, you could always use those. So don't let that limit you. And most every one of our guys has GRC cars at this point, and they love racing the GRCs. It's probably our most competitive class, I would say, even more competitive than this Fairview IT. As we see Gabriel Kirtley's car there being held up by Sam Nelson's car. Thank you for that thumbs up. As we got maybe a tenth of a second or so left here in this heat as the button got pressed. We heard the red flag, but they might not even take off. They were able to take off. Actually, we're almost able to get another whole lap, so that's good, before the red flag actually took place. So we see in our track mate here, kind of following Gabriel, as he had some rough luck there on purple, only able to turn 44 laps. 74 laps turned there on yellow. He really needed to have the most laps turned there on yellow. Paul Woosley was able to edge him out there. We see 75 laps turned there on blue. He also needed to turn the most there, but Randy Kirtley edged him out. Probably just going to be another blunder for Gabriel Kirtley tonight, as he's had bad luck on this circle track before. The wrecks are very harsh here, and it don't take no time for a car just to be destroyed. In one heat, you can slip a gear and it's over. You're out that heat and you got 44 laps like him. But Tom Payton, on average, actually turning pretty good for Tom Payton. As we see, he's been in every one of the heats here, and he also suffers a lot of loss on the circle track. So he's going to be able to most likely exchange one of his circle track races tonight, and I'm sure he is very pleased about that. Randy Kirtley, of course, still holding on to his lead, as he's a little nervous about Gabriel Kirtley this race weekend and possibly having to give up his standing in the points. A minute and 37 seconds. Let's take a look at the points. We see Randy Kirtley here with 5,694 total. He's already ran all 14 of his races. We see Gabriel Kirtley also ran all 14 of his races. So right now they're both just on exchange here, and that exchange is within 500 or so laps. So if Gabriel gets a perfect run and exchanges one out or two out, which he really needed to exchange two, of course he suffered some loss this weekend. Probably first place out of the question for Gabriel Kirtley at this point now. But nonetheless, he's still going to fight it out. And he may be able to get it in the next couple races if he can turn a really good road race. Glenn Burden there still holding second place down. Our only person to date that's in contention for a $100 bill in our series, as he has not missed one single race. And we, of course, appreciate Glenn here at Lanes Raceway. He's also my very favorite pinball buddy. Big Daddy 3 here. That's Glenn. One Wheel Teal, that's me. KK, that's Kay. She comes in. She's a IFPA pinball lady, and she comes in and plays. And then, of course, another big pinball player here, Rockin' Rod. He comes in, really puts in high scores there on Rush. But we all really enjoy pinball. 10 seconds left to go as we head back to the live stream. Also, not to mention, I guess I could show you guys, we got a little bit of a mod in today. At least I can show you the box, as I've already put it in on the pinball table. I'll show them. So, I know this is upside down, but that's Diddy's signature line, pinball mods. What we did is on the Godzilla machine, I'm getting these peanuts everywhere, we exchanged the building out. This is the building that it came with from Stern. It's kind of a plain Jane little building. I could get a picture or something made for you. Anyways, we get a little signature series card in, and then the number here, 1001. I believe this to be the exact building. If you was to look up how to install it on the internet, I believe it's the same building that they use for the install video, the 1001 building. And then just a little thank you from Tom and Jen at Diddy Pinball Mods, which of course we've gotten every single pinball mod that they have to offer, and they've worked with us very good on Pinsider. That's where we go through to get their pinball mods, but they're very, very high quality. I'll go out there real quick while this race is going. We got a minute and 30 seconds here in the 7th heat. If anything happens, I'll keep you up to date. I'll get a little picture on my phone and show you what it kind of looks like. Okay, well, my wife is next door, so I'm going to go out there and track marshal. I'll be right back. All right, yeah, my wife went over there and got us some food next door. All that talking about the Mexican joint just got me hungry. So, anyways, I'll show you guys a little picture. I don't know how good it's going to come in on this, but you can see the building up there in the middle. That's the one that we just installed there. We installed this one a couple weeks ago. That's the Nagel building. Of course, we got the little jet fighter there, and then of course the award-winning Tesla tires. So we got every single one of them that you could get from Diddy Mods, and we're pretty excited about that. But if you're in the area and you want to check it out, you want to come and just play a few games, come on down and check it out. Like I said, we have a lot of competition in the pinball area. We're fixing to start us up a league. Get a few more people. Well, like I said, I want to get actually not only just a few more people, but I want to get a little bit higher quality equipment, whether it comes to microphones, like noise canceling microphones, and a little bit better video for sure. As we see there, I had to do some quick moving there. I guess I did all right there. But now we got the track made up. 74.6 laps. Randy Kirtley now edging out that lead. Paul Woosley, 72.3. Gerald Suttle in third place, 71.1. Gabriel Kirtley rounding up fourth place here. As we have one heat left to go. It's still Paul Woosley, Gerald Suttle. Let's see. It's going to be close. Gerald's going to have the lower lanes here, so he might be able to edge out Paul Woosley possibly with his car. But like I said, it's going to be close. Gabriel Curley, 69.7. He's on white lane. He's going to really have a hard time. Him and Glenn both this next heat. They're going to have to fend off Tom and some other guys. But just keep an eye out for these guys. As you can see, Gerald, he's already ready to get back in there. We can see on the oval cam here on the yellow lane, he just put his car there. And what a pretty body it is. Of course, we try to do the best bodies that we possibly can. And I was really pleased with the way that one came out. Tom Payton in the top right there. It looks like he's going to be able to finish this race out and turn decent average times. throughout, and we're excited for that. But our series is coming to a close, as we've spoke about before, and we're getting another one going. So the GRC and everything is going to be on the oval track. 4-inch car is going to be on orange. Qualification is going to take place through a single elimination drag race every race weekend, and you'll get the top 4 their choice of what lane to start on. Those are just some of the beginning things. Like I said, if you make it all the way through, never miss a race, that's $250 to you. If you make it every race weekend, it's going to be $100 for you. Then plus sponsorships, increasing the total purse payout. This purse initially is already going to be higher than the one before it. But before that series starts, we're just excited that we're fixing to have a good little banquet come this Sunday after the race. Have a little bit of pizza, and of course our racers get their payouts at that time, and we announce them. Might have a little bit of a live show there, and of course maybe do a small interview with each one of the racers and see how they enjoyed their time here at Lanes Raceway during the Pro Series. I see my wife there very excited to put cars back on, it seems. So we got 1 second left to go here before we see them lights drop out. Another drink of Pepsi. And we're back green racing. We see the wave forming again with these guys right there neck and neck. We see Ed Howe, cars possibly coming off there again. Having a little bit of aerodynamic issues, it seems, tonight is the reason his car keeps wanting to tilt out. So Ed, having 471 laps, started off strong, maybe took a few wrecks that caused some rear downforce issues. So he might be possibly wanting to get him a new body before the next race takes place. But we see a little bit of a slow come up there, Tom Payton there in blue, a little bit slow lead, but he's back in the rhythm now as we take back off. These guys really hauling the mail. We see Gerald Suttle's yellow car really just ripping around there, staying neck and neck with Gabriel Kirtley and Randy Kirtley for sure. We see Randy Kirtley there on the outside there on orange, just neck and neck, yellow and orange, just every lap as we see Randy Kirtley kind of letting off a little bit as he kind of sees the impending doom of the wave to start. As everybody enters into the wave, of course, it's anybody's no man's land. We're still surprised that the track's still turned on when the wave happens, as we get a big high-speed come apart with all cars involved except 3. Randy Kirtley was able to edge, or Gerald Suttle was able to edge that out. Actually, I think it's Randy Kirtley in Gerald Suttle's lane, so all cars but 2 were involved in that. Ed Howe on purple and Sam Nelson on black were not involved, but everyone else, it seemed, that was involved in that. So it was pretty horrendous there. The yellow and green car, Gabriel Kirtley, the purple and blue car, Gerald Suttle, which he came out of the lane there and caused a incident there. Him and Ed Howe collecting each other a little bit. Randy Kirtley there on orange. Paul Woosley there on green. So, he was able to narrowly miss that incident. Paul Woosley really wanting that position back from Randy. Right now, just not able to capitalize against it. Randy Kirtley running a very impressive orange lane here in the final heat. Randy Kirtley just dive bombing it in there in between 2 cars, the car of Tom Payton and the car of Paul Woosley, and was able to win out almost in a shockingly manner. I think maybe might have, so shockingly, may have caused an incident to take place. But he dive bombed that baby in there, and he was able to hold it on as he escaped through, turning 42 laps. Gerald Suttle close behind him, running 41 laps here on the circle track. Gerald had his car come in here. We worked on it a little bit, and his car is in good working order now. Gabriel Kirtley now having issues yet again with his car spinning a gear, as I think he's out for the rest of this race. Going to pick his car up there on white as everybody else goes green. Lucky that there wasn't a real big incident that took place there while his car was still let on. But the wife, Chelsea Kirtley there, getting the cars put back on. Glenn Burden's car put back on red. Glenn Burden there now able, within vantage sight, to be able to take possibly Gabriel Kirtley down. Just a few laps in between them. And this is what Glenn is really needing at this point, is he has 40 seconds left to go to make up about 10 laps. So it's going to be really close, but I know Glenn is really needing to get those laps to stay ahead of Gabriel Kirtley for sure, as he can't afford to let Gabriel catch any more laps on him, as we now see both him and Tom Payton passing Gabriel Kirtley for that, pushing Gabriel towards the bottom with Sam Nelson. Ed Howe also able to capitalize on Gabriel Kirtley. Gerald Suttle holding down third place. Looks like a lock. Paul Woosley within 2 laps. So Gerald might actually capitalize against Paul Woosley if not careful. As we see a car there on its lid, my wife actually picking up the damaged vehicles out of Dead Man's Corner. Almost everyone involved. We see Gerald was actually involved there on yellow. This car unknown at the crook of the track as it's up on the lid. And that is Randy Kirtley's car that was on his lid. So Randy Kirtley currently our leader. Paul Woosley 570, Gerald Suttle 569. 10 seconds left to go. Gerald Suttle with the laps he's been turning, it is possible that Gerald Suttle is going to take second place tonight and dethrone Paul Woosley from the second position. So we see him rounding the way. Each one of these cars, motors are being hot. Everybody's blowing on them, trying to cool them off. We see Gerald Suttle now within just a hair of Paul Woosley, but Paul Woosley was able to inch it out at the end of this race. We go to the track mate, and we see Paul Woosley there, 577, close race. Gerald Suttle, 576. Gerald Suttle back on podium with Paul and Randy Kirtley for tonight. Tom Payton able to keep his car alive, middle of the pack, 4th place. He's got to be pleased with that for sure, as that helps his standings for sure. Ed Howe underperforming a smidge. Also Glenn Burden and Gabriel Kirtley underperforming. Sam Nelson underperforming also as well. So we have the bottom 4 people kind of underperforming tonight, whether it be issues or wrecks initiated. But nonetheless, every single person within 10 lap average of each other. Very impressive to see these racers turning these impressive laps. As we'll get our final counts here tonight, our website at www.lanesraceway.com will be updated. You can check the standings out tonight, or actually here probably in a few minutes since Gabriel's here. He'll probably update it pretty quick. And you'll see if anybody was able to move up or down on the leaderboards. But this is Donovan Kirtley, and thank you for watching.